Hi, I'm Teacher Alicia. For today's video, I'd like to talk about VIPKid and Booknook. If you've been hired on with Booknook and you also work for VIPKid, this video will help you get started in knowing just how to go about that. So let's take a look at your Booknook from the VIPKid platform. So I open up my VIPKid, and right away up comes your upcoming classes. If you go to class, then to classrooms, you'll see where you have your international courses and collaboration. Underneath collaboration is where you'll find your Booknook courses that are scheduled. To find out more information about Booknook, go to the support tab at the top of the page. Under that support tab, you'll see more tabs. Go to Activity. Under Activity, you'll see right there is the Booknook program. Under that Booknook program, you can get general facts, the application process, the course policies, the format, product, and payment appeal. So right now, you'll see that I am supposed to sign in on VIPKid for my class that starts at 11:45. The time right now is 11:38. You can only sign in 15 minutes before class. Anywhere from 15 minutes before up to 2 minutes before is what they want you to sign in before. Once you sign in, you have this screen pop up. It'll tell you the students that you have for that lesson. I let this screen stay up. I do not click out of this with the X. Just because if once you click out of this, that sign in button is still there. And if you're busy and you're doing something and you think, oh, did I sign in for this class with VIPKid, and you're not sure, it doesn't tell you that. So I leave this screen up so I can see what class it is that I signed in with or for last. All right, so now we need to log into Booknook. And I have this bookmarked, and it brings me right to my class. But if I sign out, you will see here in an email that you get from VIPKid, they will give you an email address that you need to put in along with a password, of which then you are able to change that password to whatever you like. So once we sign in, it will come up with today's appointments and future appointments. I have half a screen here because I put my Booknook page on one side and up will come the Zoom on the other side. So today at this time I have this class. I will click on it and I hit Start Appointment. Now I have been doing this for several months and it says I'm new and always wants to do a demo session. You don't have to do that. You might want to do that the first time, but of course since I've been teaching, it's no thanks. All right, from this point is where you'll start the lesson and join now, and it will bring up your Zoom. It asks to join with your computer audio, and of course I do that. All right, and it's not going to bring up my video because I have it with Manycam. All right, and let me give you this tip too. I have Manycam, and I actually, when I was working with VIPKid, I had a paid subscription. However, I don't now, and I also with Booknook, you cannot use Manycam. So Manycam automatically starts when you start up your computer, and you need to turn that off inside of Manycam if you happen to be using that. You have to turn it off so that it does not start up with your computer and it is not running while you're trying to run Zoom. All right, so taking a look at your microphone just to see that it's working. Here's a tab for testing your speaker. and your microphone. All right, to make sure that that's working. And then while I'm waiting for class, of course, I mute that. Another thing that I do is if you go to More and you go to Participants, you can see who is in the classroom and who wants to enter. When somebody enters the classroom, it will typically come up in this area and it will want you to admit them. Once you've admitted them, they will be put into your Zoom. So if you're doing something else, or say your students are later, they don't always come at the same time. I go to the 3 dots down here on your right, once you've opened up that Participants tab, and I hit play sound when someone joins or leaves. That way you can know when someone enters the classroom. So taking a look at the Booknook site, you can see that we have a schedule which will show you all of your appointments that are today and then future appointments. All right, as of right now, I don't have any other, and those are set up by VIPKid, your future appointments, and they happen over time. I'm not quite sure why I'm not seeing it. There's been problems with the site today, and that might be why I'm not seeing future appointments on there. But then if you look at this top left, you'll see sessions, and that will give you information on the classes that you taught. If you click on the guided, it will show you exactly who was there, what students joined, did they pass the class, maybe if you gave, and always look, if you see that it says incomplete, don't worry about that if that's the way it comes up if you had no students. Now, mind you, if you do not stay in class for the full 30 minutes, and even if you had students, it will say it was incomplete. You have to stay in the classroom, in the Zoom session, for at least 30 minutes for it to say it was completed class. However, if you had no students show up, it will still say the class was incomplete, but it won't be marked against you. And I say marked against you, I'm not sure what they do when it's incomplete. I haven't gotten like an email saying that I haven't completed a class. Maybe that's, I don't know that I've not gone 30 minutes, but I can imagine that if you don't, they would probably let you know about that. All right, also they have lesson tabs, and these lesson tabs, you can find the lessons where that you will be teaching to take a look at them ahead of time. They're pretty simple and straightforward. Just like VIPKid, it comes up and gives you slides that you go through with each student. And the more you do it, the more, the more familiar you'll get with it. All right, so crazy enough, when I was in the middle of trying to show you how Booknook worked, the site crashed. So I'm leaving this on here just so that you know that if there's a time that you can't get it to work, this is actually the first time I've ever had this problem, but it does. And we know that working with VIPKid, that occasionally does happen. I sent them an email right away, and I would suggest getting the email for Booknook so that you have that on hand. So here is that email address I believe that you should keep handy for Booknook. I happen to have that sent to me. It is good to try and contact them directly instead of going through VIPKid. So it is support@booknooklearning.com. support@booknooklearning.com. There, if you have any kind of problems with Booknook, or if you're not able to sign on, something happens, or if you have just a complaint, like something happened in a classroom while teaching, that is where you could send an email to get help. Something else that is worth mentioning is that if you're working with VIPKid and the Booknook program, if you fail to sign in under this collaboration, whenever you have a class, you will not get paid for that class. Plus, you will be fined $10 for not showing up. So if you sign in late, Or if you don't click that button that says sign in, you will be charged $10 through VIPKid for not showing up. And there is no way to fight this. Even if you go ahead and you teach that course with Booknook and you have it on record, you take screenshots of it, that you have taught the class and you have proof, it doesn't matter, VIPKid will not pay you. Plus, they will fine you $10. On my very first day working with Booknook and VIPKid, VIPKid said that I had classes, 5 classes scheduled with Booknook on a Monday. However, I had none, because when I went to my Booknook and looked at the schedule, it said I had no appointments today. I made sure I took pictures of that and reported that to VIPKid, but I did not hit the sign-in buttons for those classes. It was my first day and I did not know. I got into a multi-ticket argument, as we know with VIPKid, over this situation, and there was no winning it. It didn't matter that I had no classes with Booknook. VIPKid said that I did, and they wanted me to had sign in for them, even though I didn't have classes. And I was charged $50 for missing all of those classes that day, even though I didn't actually miss any classes, and even though I didn't have any classes. So never forget to hit the sign in button. That is very important, to hit that sign in button, whether you have classes scheduled with Booknook or not. If it's scheduled with VIPKid, they say you have it. I hope that answered a lot of your questions that you might have about Booknook and the VIPKid platform. If you have any other questions, don't be afraid to ask, and I'll try and make another video. Thanks for joining me today.